Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Willis Wit and Wisdom. My name is Eric Willis,
And I'm Bob Willis, the dad in this situation.
and I'll be the son. So that's
All
how
right.
that works.
Yep.
Well, on this episode, we're actually this is going to be one of those very vulnerable and real and authentic pieces because, Dad, this past week you experienced something that was out of the norm. So I'm just going to
Out
give
of the
it
norm.
to you and share with us what's taking place and how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Actually, I'm doing great. A week ago on Friday morning, I at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 actually, I started feeling pain in my chest and across my shoulders and neck. In fact, I got an ice pack and put on my neck and I got a little relief for a few minutes, but the chest pain started getting worse, even down my arm. And I had a reflection right then that when I was 19, my mom woke me in the middle of the night, wanted me to drive dad to the hospital because he was having chest pains. And so as I was driving them to the hospital, he was in the back seat holding his chest. And I can remember him screaming, Eric. He said, "Give me a gun and I'll end it. Give me a gun and I'll end it."
Mm,
And I've never seen him in that kind of pain before.
right.
And got him to the hospital, and he'd had a heart attack, and he survived the heart attack. But that picture came back to me because of the pain he was experiencing. God showed me that's the pain I was having. So I called 911, and immediately they took over. I mean, they told me that, asked me if I had baby aspirin to go ahead and eat four of those, chew them up, swallow them, no water. So I got those down. That and then the fire department was there, and IMSA was right behind them, and so as I trusted them. They were professionals, and I got to be a patient. So I was helpless in that situation, willing for them to do what they do best. And they did. They got me stabilized and took me to the heart hospital. What's really ironic is that day on Friday at 1 o'clock, I was scheduled to have a heart cath because a couple of weeks ago, I had some heart rehab. I started feeling some tightness. Went to my cardiologist and he wanted to do a heart cath. They put me on the schedule. So Friday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was supposed to have a heart cath, but I was in the emergency room at the heart hospital by probably about 5:30 that morning.
Mhm.
And it's probably about 6 or 6:30. They did the heart cath. All right. Found out that I had a large artery on the back of my heart. I had 99% blockage. So the way I see it, that's 1% from Heaven's Gate.
Right.
But he was able to put in a couple of stents and open it up, good blood flow. Um, Immediately, just felt no discomfort at all. The pain went away. Talked to the doctor probably within 30 minutes of the procedure. And again, later in the day, so what he did, he explained it to me again. But opened it up. He saw no other problems anywhere. So I guess he cleaned my pipes, widened out the pipes a little bit, get a better blood flow, especially in that large artery, kind of important artery, I guess,
Yeah.
feeding the heart. And so it was an experience. But what I found, Eric, was able to trust the 911 operator, the IMSA folks, the fire department people, the doctors, the nurses, everybody at the hospital, because they were the professionals doing their job. It wasn't up to me to dictate them anything.
Hmm.
In fact, I wasn't able to because of the pain. I can recall they wheeled me into the emergency room, and immediately there was at least four, maybe six people around me. I mean, there was people jerking off my pants and shaving me everywhere, except here I didn't get a good shave.
Right.
Uh, Putting an IV in, talking to me about medication list and allergies, just all kinds of information, and
Sure.
then giving me something for pain right away. So that eased the pain. I was able to communicate with them pretty good, and put me into the cath lab, and pain started coming back, and I let them know that, and so they said they're going to give me some morphine to take care of the pain, and next thing I know, I was back in ER and a doctor was coming in to talk to me. So
Mhm.
it was an experience, but one of peace all the way through. All the way through, I promise.
Yeah.
Was I realized I trusted all those professionals, but above that, I trusted God to take care of it. It's like that. I was helpless in it. I know Mom, for those of you listening, that's my wife.
And
She
my
was,
mom. Yeah.
yeah, she was driving behind me. So she was there. They allowed her to be in the ER area with me. So that was good. She can kind of see what was going on, but we were not able to communicate with people at that time. And so I wondered, how was this for you? Because I know it was later before we were able to, it was after the process, I think, when we were able to communicate with you. I'm not sure exactly when Mom reached out to you.
Yeah. It was around 6 a.m. or so when I got a text from her, just uh, letting us know. And I knew that you had that appointment at 1 o'clock and had been praying for that process. But to get a text at 6 a.m., I immediately thought, wait a minute, that's way too early to go to the hospital to prep for a 1 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I had to communicate with Mom, and she verified and confirmed that indeed you had had a heart attack
hmm
at
hmm
3:30 in the morning, and you got a free ambulance ride to the hospital.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
it can't
A
beat
little
that.
rough.
But and so that's what started for me, just this thought process. I was putting two and two together that, you know, and this is where I'm going to be real and vulnerable is, have I had my last conversation with my dad?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it wasn't a fear type of response. It was a longing type response to have
Yeah,
another conversation.
yeah.
And because we are blessed and privileged to have a very healthy relationship where
Mhm.
you and I both know how much we love each other. And we've been able to express that.
Mhm.
But in that moment for me, it was, I have the potential to lose my dad. And so I was dealing with all these emotions, still
Mhm.
not clear on any of the facts of, were you going into surgery? Were you not? And uh,
Mhm.
next thing I
And
know, Mom,
3 hours. Yeah,
yeah,
3 hours away.
right. Yeah. And so
Mhm.
it's not a, hop, skip, and jump for me to come up there. And even if I
Mhm.
could, I wouldn't have had access
Right.
due to COVID restrictions. And,
Mhm.
and so that added, compounded my process as well. Um, but Mom kept me updated, let me know surgery was successful. Next thing I know, there's a selfie that you threw up on Facebook of you recovering with your mask on there,
Mhm.
and giving us all a good report on Facebook. But
Yeah.
for me, my process was, I don't want to lose my dad.
Mhm.
And my prayers were uh, for your life to be sustained, for no fear for you in the process, uh,
Yeah.
and and for another conversation, which I
Mhm.
think when all of us are facing something like this, I think those would be normal types of
Yeah.
responses. We want more time with the person that we love.
Sure.
We don't want them to experience pain or fear. Um, and so we begin to prep ourselves for whatever comes of it. And so that's
Mhm.
kind of where I found myself, because I was in a prep mode.
Yeah. And I've made this statement many times, and I really do believe it. And this is good evidence of it. Relationships end before we're through with them.
Hmm.
Relationships end before we're through with them, because we always like to have that one more conversation. When my dad died of a heart attack, and it ended before I was through with it. So, because I had not had that last conversation with him, there's things I would like to have heard from him. So it is very important for people, the people who are listening and subscribe to us. It's really important for you to talk with family. Not that you're gearing up for the last conversation,
Right.
but if there's things that you're carrying around that you know you need to talk about them, get them out, so that there are fewer regrets later on. Because we never know what our last conversation might be with people. I mean, with anyone, we never know that. God's in charge of that, not us. So it's always good to stay up to date in relationships, not harbor bitterness. It's more important to build the bridge instead of a wall.
Yeah.
Okay. People, we have the opportunity to build walls. Absolutely. We can do that with anybody. But the part that is best is build a bridge from heart to heart. That's the best.
Yep. And so I tell people that, regrets can be dismantled one decision at a time. And so if there are regrets that you have in the words that you've said or actions that you've taken towards someone in your life, it would be appropriate for you to communicate. The first decision would be to communicate.
Exactly. Yep.
And share.
Yeah. Yeah. Regardless of the outcome of the conversation, it's making that decision and stepping forward and saying, just need to get something settled here. In my heart, need to settle it. That's really important to do.
Yeah.
And we have that opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's always, it's been my experience in working with folks and even experiencing grief myself, is that after the loss of a loved one, there's all the I wish I would have or I could have. And let's go ahead and do away with the woulda, shoulda, couldas and do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because it's very normal to have guilt and regret. Very normal, but we can alleviate some of that. It doesn't have to be the major thing in our relationships. We'll all have regrets of things we wish we had done. Yes, and be able to talk about those. So we can address those. Do as many as we can. Okay, we can do that. I want to share something else with you. Thursday night, I was here in my room and I was working on a piece of sculpture for the Passion Play area. Got this little sculpture I did, a bust of Christ. My idea of making it on Thursday night was Christ at a point when he was on the cross. He looked up, says, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." So I was doing this piece of sculpture, and I was thinking of the title of it. And I don't want the title to be "Into your hands I commit my spirit." I just want it to be, "Father, into your hands." And let it go from there. Because that's exactly what I did on Friday morning. I just committed everything into his hands, and I committed myself into the hands of those doctors and the nurses and everybody that was working on me, but I'd already committed to him. He's the one in charge. And that's what I would ask people to do, is come to that point in your spiritual life where you can say, "Father, in your hands, I committed." It may be our spirit, it may be our family, it might be our marriage, our kids, everything about us that we can commit to his hands. Our health, commit to his hands. That's where it needs to be. That's the peace. That's the peace.
And that peace passes all understanding, because it makes no sense to the human mind.
You're right. You're right. And I can honestly tell you, throughout this whole ordeal, from the phone call to 911, zero worries, no anxiety. There was peace. There was peace all the way through. Even knowing that they would strap me to the table and they was going to stick a little deal up my arm. I had peace in that because it's part of the process. And we can live in that peace.
Yeah, and knowing that is the place where you go in crisis, and knowing that your trust is in the Lord primarily, helps me to continue to place my trust in the Lord.
Yep.
Well, thank you for sharing, Dad. It's been raw, real, and I'm so glad that we have this episode of Willis Wit Wisdom.
Hey, me too. It's not the last one, I pray.
Yeah, that's the goal anyway. So how can folks get a hold of you and let you know?
The best way to do that, you can email me at rwillis14@cox.net, rwillis14@cox.net, or you can follow me on Facebook under Bob Willis. I'll have this face with a little piece of sculpture. And each morning about 6, I will put something on there called Morning Moments. And I share a lot about grief. I've shared a lot about this experience, and I'll continue to do that and see how it develops. But that's how to reach me.
That's great. The folks can find me at reclaimleadership.org, or they can follow me at Facebook. You can search Reclaim Leadership on Facebook, and where I do every Monday morning a Monday mindset reset, just to give
those are very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, good response to those.
Yeah. Those are just things that have made me think and process as I walk this journey of life. And so I thought, why not throw some of these out there to let us all be thinking about it?
Yeah.
But that's how you can reach us. Dad, I love you. And
love you too, E.
I'm glad that we're able to have this episode, and I look forward to many more.
Let's go for it, buddy. Love you too.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
Bye, guys.